One of the worst foods that most people consume on a daily basis is refined sugar. It is not just unhealthy but also addictive. So much so that it was found to be 8 times more addictive than cocaine, a drug which is banned in most countries.
A 2004 systematic review and meta-analysis found that a higher intake of sugar was associated with an increased concentration of triglycerides in the blood. Increased total LDL cholesterol levels were noticed as well, and that's considered your bad kind of cholesterol.
Research has proven that sugar is more addictive than cocaine, and that every time you eat a chocolate bar or take a super sweet Starbucks coffee, you increase the likelihood of you developing one of these many diseases: cardiovascular disease, type 2 diabetes, cancer.
Alright, what's up you guys, you're watching Zealocity, and in today's video, as you have seen in the title, we are going to talk about sugar. What happens if you quit sugar? If you type on YouTube, what happens if you quit sugar, you will get like so many videos, and if you pick any video, it essentially has the same thing. Sugar is the devil, sugar causes heart attack, sugar causes weight gain, and if you quit sugar, you will lose weight. If you quit sugar, your heart health will be better. If you quit sugar, X and Y. Whatever problem you have in life, if your girlfriend broke up with you, quit sugar. She'll come back. If you are a 50-year-old virgin like Salman Khan, what do you have to do? Quit sugar. Your problems will be solved. I want you to particularly watch this video, and I'll give you my review on this, on a particular clip of it.
Now, while most people know that diets high in unhealthy fats can cause heart disease, most people don't know that diets high in sugar can do the same. A 2004 systematic review and meta-analysis found that a higher intake of sugar was associated with an increased concentration of triglycerides in the blood. Increased total LDL cholesterol levels were noticed as well, and that's considered your bad kind of cholesterol, and also there was an increase in blood pressure. To put it
You don't know how to read studies. You know, this is one big issue with people who actually want to be a guru. They don't actually know how to read a study. And if that study is a significant study or not. Well, yeah, it's so easy to say, oh, meta-analysis and systematic review shows that sugar causes an independent. Dude, read the study. Read what's in the study. Read the amount of people that were involved in the study. Read the confounding variables. Read everything properly and then give a conclusion. The first line, this systematic review and meta-analysis of randomized controlled trials provides evidence that higher compared with lower intakes of sugar are associated with increased concentrations of triglycerides, total LDL cholesterol, and blood pressure. Okay. Now, if you see the next few lines, it says when we considered lipid outcomes, the significant heterogeneity in studies was not explained by any potentially confounding variables. Okay. Now, the next line, however, because 40% of studies involved free living individuals who consumed ad libitum diets for which energy intakes were not strictly controlled. You do know what this means? I'll explain it to you. So 40% of the studies considered in this meta-analysis, that's almost half of the studies which are considered, were not controlled for the caloric value. It was like you eat how much ever you want. Ad libitum means there is no limit to it. Okay, so they're eating ad libitum diets. No energy intake control. So do you think it's the high amount of energy that they're eating or just the sugar that they're eating which is causing the problem? Anything in excess is bad. This is one liner which kind of states that even fat is good in moderation. Sugar, see, I don't want to portray the fact that sugar is very healthy. I never say that. I'm never saying that, but it's often considered as an unhealthy source or a devil or like a demonized for causing obesity, causing diabetes and whatnot. I'm not saying that sugar is good, but sugar is not as bad as it is portrayed. It is definitely not very healthy. Okay, so you obviously need to control and have it in moderation. But here, if you see in the study, 40% of the people of the studies did not involve a proper caloric restriction. If you're eating unlimited amount of calories, if there's no limit to your caloric intake, then it's obvious that you will have a lot of sugar, and with that you will definitely end up having a lot of fat. Because if you see hyperpalatable foods are the ones which are basically you can't stop at a small portion. You feel like having more and more, like ice creams, pizzas, burgers, and cheesecake, etc. And Indian foods like gulab jamun, fried foods, fried pakoda, etc. If you see all these foods, they're not just sugar. It's sugar combined with fat. It's sugar fried in fat, right? So it's It's a combination of sugar and fat, and that combination is what causes hyperpalatability, which means that you end up eating a way more than what you intend on having. Okay, so when you have ad libitum diets like this, you definitely end up eating way more calories, way more unhealthy stuff, not just the sugar. You have a lot of fat as well along with it, and that also impacts your LDL cholesterol, and that can also be a very unhealthy factor for your heart risk. Okay, now even in this video, if you actually see, they posted a few studies below, and if you see this, it's mentioned NCBI, and I particularly happened to open this one, which I really found interesting, the number 5. And if you see, it says metabolic and behavioral effects of a high sucrose diet during weight loss. It's a clinical trial, and here if you see, it is clearly mentioned here. Both groups showed decreases in depression, hunger, negative mood, and increases in vigilance and positive mood. Results showed that a high sucrose content with hypoenergetic low-fat diet did not adversely affect weight loss, metabolism, or emotional effect. So this study actually says that even if you have high sugar content, but if it is in a hypocaloric, means high in a calorie deficit, if you're eating lesser calories than what you burn in a day, and even in a calorie deficit, if you're having a high sugar diet compared to low sugar diet, it does not have a significant impact on your weight. It doesn't have a significant impact on your metabolism or plasma. It's pretty much the same. The whole point here is, as long as you're in a calorie deficit, a little higher sugar intake is not bad, although it's harder to be in a calorie deficit with a high sugar intake. Obviously it becomes very easy if you're consuming low sugar. It becomes easy to be in a calorie deficit. It's not rocket science here, right? It's obvious common logic. If you replace your sugar, the simple sugar, white sugar, with more complex carbohydrates like fruits, vegetables, whole grains, etc., it's obviously going to be a better choice. If you see the study that they posted in their video in the description, it clearly shows that results of a high sugar content, as long as it's in a hypoenergetic diet, it does not affect weight loss adversely. It does not affect your blood lipids adversely. They actually proved themselves wrong, right? So they actually contradicted their own video. Everyone wants to be a guru and they don't know how to read studies. I want you to see one more video before we get into the conclusion of it.
It is not just unhealthy but also addictive. So much so that it was found to be 8 times more addictive than cocaine, a drug which is banned in most countries.
Another logical fallacy that people use from time to time. Sugar is 8 times, 10 times more addictive than cocaine, and that's why sugar is bad. Cocaine is a legit drug. You're comparing sugar with cocaine. It's easy to say that, but when you actually understand addiction, it is much more than just a one food or one substance. It is a psychological issue. So when you're talking about psychological issues, it needs a little more addressing to than just dietary changes. Okay, yes, dietary changes do help in your mental health. I'm 100% on that boat with everyone saying that yes, dietary changes help you with your mental health, will help you with getting out of depression or anxiety, or definitely it does play an important role. But psychological problems need a little more addressing to than just dietary changes. I'm not saying that dietary changes do not play an important role, but dietary changes, lifestyle changes, going to therapy, all of these things are important when you talk about psychological changes, and especially when you talk about addiction in particular. People don't understand that it's not just sugar that they have, right? Again, I'm coming on the same topic again and again because I really want you to understand this. Sugar, how can sugar be more addictive than cocaine? Just understand this in your mind. Would you just want to have a sugar syrup if you feel that sugar craving? Would you just have a sugar syrup, or would you just eat sugar just like that? No, right? You're just gonna go and have a cheesecake, or you're gonna have a chocolate, you're gonna have an ice cream, which is gonna be paired up with fat. If you actually compare sugar in isolation, would you if you want me to do, I'll actually do a poll on my channel. Would you, if you have a sugar craving, would you eat an ice cream, chocolate, something like that, something sweet? Or would you have just a sugar syrup, or just eat sugar like that? You may have a candy, but that's again flavored and processed, right? You don't just eat sugar like that. I hope you understand my point by now, that it's the hyperpalatability that causes the problem, not just sugar in isolation. Saying statements like this, sugar is so much more addictive than cocaine and that's why it's bad, it's just like saying water is more addictive than cigarettes. So if people consume more water than cigarettes, we can't say that water is addictive, right? What's the whole basis of your comparison? So it's similar with sugar. People do consume sugar on a daily basis. They don't consume cocaine. I don't like what the you may consume sugar in other forms, but you don't consume cocaine in other forms, right? You don't just say, let's do one thing, let's start having cocaine instead of sugar, because cocaine is less addictive than sugar, so it's supposed to be healthier than sugar, correct? So let's do one thing. Now the next time you have a sugar craving, like, let's take lines of snort cocaine, just because it's healthier than sugar, correct? So why not just have cocaine and just ditch the sugar? Does it make sense? So again, in conclusion, if you quit sugar, what happens? Nothing. You might just feel better, obviously, because you may be having too many calories with the sugar. And if you just swap the sugar, you see that a lot of other hyperpalatable foods also go away from your diet. Like, let's say if you have biscuits, if you have cakes on a regular basis, if you have sweets on a regular basis, if you cut out sugar, then you're essentially cutting out those high calorie sources also, right? And the easiest thing would be to replace your sugar with like 0 calorie sweeteners like stevia, monk fruit sweetener, sugar free. That's what I do on a daily basis, and you would easily be swapping out at least 150 to 300 or 400 calories in the entire day with a 0 calorie sweetener. You could easily have some fruit or dry fruits or nuts in that in those calories that you would rather have from sugar. The best outcome would be that you would become more mindful about your food, right? You will be more mindful about your eating, how much you're eating, what you're eating. Just be mindful of the foods that you eat. And obviously it's better to have more of the complex carbohydrates like whole grains, millets, oats, quinoa, etc. And lots of fruits, vegetables in the entire day would really be helpful. And obviously you need to make sure of your overall protein intake as well, the healthy fats as well that really matter. So these are the few takeaways that you need. Don't just blindly follow any video which says sugar causes heart disease, sugar causes diabetes, because sugar is more addictive than cocaine. Alright, so that's it for today. This is the end of the video. I hope you actually liked this video, and if you did, you know what to do. Hit the like button, share this video with your friends, family members, and subscribe to the channel. Down there's a subscribe button. Please hit that if you haven't already, and hit the bell icon if you want to get notified whenever I post videos. This is my Instagram. If you want to hit me up for my personal coachings or video consultations, then I would love to help you out, and you have my email in the description below. You can send me an email for the same, and I would really love to help you out. If you have any suggestions for my future videos, you can comment down below and I will definitely consider that. And thanks again for watching this video. Stay tuned for more interesting content, and I will see you very soon.